What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Redline Racing Garage. So as you guys can see, we have finally finished prepping and priming the entire engine bay of the Street EG. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of work, but believe me, guys, it's a ton of work and it requires a lot of detail. It's still not 100%. There are still a couple of touch-ups that I have to do, put some filler in. As I put the gray primer, now you can basically see everything. Everything is exposed and you can see every little piece of detail. So I want to address that today. We just finished priming this thing. I'm super happy. So now that the engine bay is all primed, it looks amazing. And now you can actually visualize how it's gonna look with the finish coat on there, especially with the clear and the color that I have chosen to go with this thing. It's gonna pop, it's gonna look amazing. Super excited. We're getting super close, guys, super close. I did drop off the subframe and a couple of other things, the trailing arms and stuff like that. So those were dropped off to get powder coated. So that's gonna be done in the meantime. This way we can go and start finish coating the bay. That'll be all good to go. Gonna let this thing cure for a couple of days just so that the paint cures properly, and then we can go start installing the subframe and all the goodies that we got for this thing. So now this thing is starting to look like a cut and shaved engine bay just with the primer on top. So if you guys remember, there were a bunch of holes. So me and Rob counted them. There was probably close to 200 holes that were filled in this engine bay. So now with the primer on top, you can actually visualize how this thing is going to look with the finished coat. And personally, I like this gray. This gray I really like. I'm a huge fan of gray colors. Even the primer looks really good. Who knows, maybe I might just throw some clear over it and call it a day, but nah. We do have a color that we're going to be putting in this engine bay, and I'm super excited on that color. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be finish coating this thing very soon. There are a couple of little things that I still have to address. I'm not sure if you guys can see that on camera. There's a couple of areas over here. So just going around, checking little, dot here, dot there, couple little things like this little ding here. So right now with gray primer, you see everything. Basically, you can see all the little details that still need to be addressed. There isn't much, but there are still a couple. So stuff like this I want to address. Deep in there, I know you can't really see it, but while we're doing it, might as well do a good job. Get some stuff patched up in there as well. So like I said, there are a few things. Can't really see that with the shadow there, but there are a few things where right now I'm just gonna let this primer kind of dry and cure, and then I'm gonna go around with some spot putty and just fill in the rest of the areas that I want to address. Then light sand, prime those little areas that we are puttying, and that's about it, guys. And it is decent, pretty smooth with just a basic can primer. So pretty good. The process after this, once everything is all spot puttied and primed and ready to go, just a super light sand with some maybe 500 grit sandpaper or maybe some sponges just to kind of get up exactly where, all the little areas you need to get to. A sponge will probably do that the best. So that's what we're going to do. Get a damp rag, wipe all the dust down, blow it off, then wipe all the dust down. And then we're going to get some plastic, just cover everything up. As you guys can see, I also did take out the windshield wiper assembly, and I did get all the primer up in there as well. I might actually leave it just primed. I'm not going to finish coat it. Maybe we will, but I did want to get this painted because it looked horrible. So I took it off and got this all primed. Also did the hinges. Basically, whatever we can, that's what we got. I did get some overspray on the windshield, but I don't really care because it is cracked and it's going to get replaced. So I just went ahead and just started priming everything that I could, but it's looking really good. So let me bring this thing up and show you guys a little bit of the underneath. All right, so we did go and chop off the rad support. Like I told you guys, chopped it off. I also did get a wire wheel and just cleaned up all the rust as much as I could. All of this looks nice. It's all primed, good to go. Looking really good underneath as well. Not bad. And then also another thing is I did go and get some truck bed liner, and that's what I'm going to be using to undercoat the whole car. So the plan is to remove the plastic side skirts here, which I'm not going to be running. I want to remove it and then go ahead and start undercoating the crap out of this thing. There are still a couple of things that I still need to address, but for the most part, looking pretty clean. Once I go and put the bed liner / undercoat under this thing, it's going to be a lot cleaner. And also for the rear, as you guys can see, I did remove basically everything. Like I said previously, the trailing arms and all that stuff has been removed and sent to the powder coat shop. Going to get that powder coated. The only thing that I have to remove to get inside from the top is the coilovers. That's going to get removed. And then basically the whole suspension components in the back are removed. So we're going to be putting some new stuff as well. And once the trailing arms come back, we're going to start off with that. We're going to get this thing undercoated, install the trailing arms, and then go from there. I also did rip out all of the stock brake lines, which I'm not going to be running. And I did purchase some nice tucked brake lines, and they're really nice. So we're going to put some new brake lines and all that kind of stuff. So as you guys can see, we are deep in this thing, super deep. Once you start, it's like, okay, let me do this thing, let me do that, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you go overboard. And that's basically what's happening here. We started off by saying, coilovers are good, let me just drop the motor in there and just get this thing running. And look where we're at. This thing is fully stripped and getting everything done. But I'm super glad, because this way this thing is gonna be clean as hell. All right, so as you guys can see, I already started putting some spot putty in those little detail areas. So now that this thing is all primed, and gray is the best color to see the little details, like, where is it? Right over here. So you just kind of smudge that on nicely, let that dry, go from there. There's a little bit over here. There we go, a little bit here. We can go crazy as much as we want, guys. We're gonna go crazy on this thing. A little bit here. I always say, you know what, if you're doing it, might as well do it right the first time. And I don't think there's no going back right now anyway. So this is how it's gonna look. Just gonna go down in all the areas, check everything. And then once this thing dries, we can go lightly sand it, prime it again, and then we're good to go. There we go, all done. Chicken pox installed. Final check is done. I did go a little bit overboard, but now this thing is gonna look really good. So you can already see it's starting to dry. A couple areas are still a little bit wet, but I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. Gonna let this thing dry properly, and then light sand, reprime all of the chicken pox, and then we're basically ready to go. So there you have it, guys. We are slowly getting a move on this thing, and I'm super happy, because now once we get this thing all painted, stuff from the powder coat shop is going to come back, the subframe and the trailing arms. We can finally start putting this thing back together. The super exciting part of the build. Nice shiny parts, brand new, and getting this thing all knocked out. So that's the New Year resolution, guys. We're gonna try to get this thing up and running by the end of January. That's the plan. At least get the suspension stuff in there, get the motor in there, get the wiring done, and then at least start it up and see if everything is okay. I think that's the plan. I'm gonna set my goals, and we're gonna just get a move on this thing. Like I said, the engine bay has been kind of holding us back, because without getting this thing all done up and painted, there was no moving forward. But looking at this thing right now, I'm super glad that I did decide to go and paint the engine bay, get it all shaved and tucked and looking super nice. I cannot wait to put the finish coat color on this thing. It's gonna look amazing. But yeah, guys, so that'll pretty much do it for today's video. Just a little update video on how stuff is going with the Street EG. Soon we're gonna be posting frequently once we have everything in from the powder coat shop, and we can actually have the engine bay all painted and ready to go. then it's just gonna be slap on this, slap on that. So content is gonna be coming out frequently. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.